Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Christine McWeeny. Christine Rose McWeeny was 18. She was born in 1955 to Thomas and Marilyn McWeeny. She had an older brother and a younger sister. They lived at 3537 West 48th Street in Cleveland. Christine attended St. Boniface Elementary and was a graduate of Erie View Catholic High School in Cleveland. She worked for the Ohio Bell Telephone Company as a secretary. On Wednesday, October 24th, she went with a friend to see a folk singer who was a friend of theirs. They wanted to be in the audience to support the friend at this little pub gig. It was a weeknight, and Christine had to get up the next day, but she was there for her friend. The next morning, on Thursday, October 25th, 1973, Christine was on her way to work. She had about a 10-minute walk to catch the downtown bus each morning, but she never made it onto the bus on October 25th, 1973. A neighbor, Mrs. Oxley, heard a scream at about 6:55 that morning from what she thought was the Eichhorn and 47th Street area. It was the kind of scream that prompted her to throw on a robe and run outside on that chilly morning to look around. A paper boy on his route also reported hearing the scream. They didn't see what happened, though, or who had screamed, but both of them were very concerned. It seems that someone had grabbed Christine so quickly and managed to get her into a home or a vehicle without anyone seeing. Perhaps someone had been watching her and knew her usual route and what time she would be passing. When Christine missed work that day and never came home, her father said he knew then that he would never see her alive again. She was that responsible and punctual. She set her watch by the official time over the telephone every morning. Before cell phones and digital watches, you had to wind your watch and set the time. There was a phone number you could call to get the current time back in those days. And that's what Christine would do every morning to make sure that she could get to work on time and keep up with what time it was during the day. Her family and friends were looking everywhere that evening. Multiple searches were conducted. Large numbers of her Ohio Bell colleagues volunteered to help look for Christine. Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas passed with no sign. I can't imagine watching the seasons change and the holidays come and go knowing that your daughter is missing. In November, Ohio Bell Telephone Company offered a $5,000 reward for information leading to a suspect or leading to the discovery of Christine. Evidence was found on Mill Hollow Lane in Strongsville, southwest of Christine's family home, by about a 25-minute drive. Mill Hollow Lane is a short, dead-end wooded lane. Today there are quite a few houses along the road, but I imagine in 1973 it was an empty and out-of-the-way place. A blood-stained bedspread and duffel bag were found there. Both were sent to the FBI lab for analysis. Blood of Christine's type was found on both. Hair and fibers were also found in the duffel bag. Neighbors were questioned because Christine disappeared from the sidewalk in her quiet neighborhood. Police felt that she must have been dragged into a home or into a car. No one had seen a suspicious car leaving the neighborhood, but that doesn't mean there wasn't one. Christine disappeared on a Thursday. I wonder if the killer had watched her all week and knew exactly when she would be walking by. A tip led them to the home of Lee F. Schroeder. He lived on the route Christine walked each day. He lived very close to the Oxley home where Mrs. Oxley had run out of her house to try to help the person who screamed so frighteningly on October 25, 1973. Lee F. Schroeder allowed police to search his home. Hair, blood, and carpet fibers from there matched that of Christine and the found bedspread and duffel bag. The evidence was that compelling, and he was arrested and charged even before Christine's body was found. Investigators were that sure that they had the right man. Christine was missing for 5 agonizing months. More searches were conducted as the trial date for Schroeder was approaching. Her parents planned a vigil service for Christine's birthday. A part-time 16-year-old golf course worker took a shortcut to work in March 1974 at the Valleire Golf Course south of the town of North Royalton. As he made his way through an area of the course that was seldom traveled through, he came across the skeletal remains that were later identified as Christine. Christine's parents canceled the planned memorial vigil and instead planned her funeral mass. Lee F. Schroeder was tried and convicted of the kidnapping, rape, and murder. He wouldn't admit to the murder, but instead said that he blacked out and didn't remember doing it. He waived his right to a jury trial, and instead a panel of 3 judges conducted his trial. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. I found a 1983 appeal that was denied. It seems like he did spend his life in prison. Lee F. Schroeder died on November 21st, 2022, and is buried in Ohio. Because he had been in the Navy before he murdered Christine McWeeny, he is buried in a military cemetery with a veteran's grave marker. Christine Rose McWeeny was a good student, a solid citizen and worker. 300 people attended her funeral mass at St. Boniface Church. It was the same church she had been baptized in as an infant. Her co-workers cared about her so much that they used their free time to search for her. Her employers saw enough value in her to offer a $5,000 reward in her case. She was just beginning her life as an adult. What might she have achieved if she had been allowed to live? Rest in peace, Christine. So the murder of Christine McWeeny happened in 1973. In 1975, a little girl in the same neighborhood was abducted and raped and murdered, named Melissa Hinkey. And then in 1976, in this same neighborhood, Karen Collar, also a little girl, was abducted and murdered. And in each case, the killers were all caught. And so I think maybe after Christine's murder, they thought, oh, well, we got the bad guy. And then 2 years later, another little girl was murdered, and they caught that bad guy. And then another year, and another little girl, and they caught those perpetrators as well. It's just mind-boggling how much crime was really out there, and how careful and vigilant you had to be. You should have been just fine. Christine should have been just fine walking through her own neighborhood that she had grown up in to a bus that she went to every morning. But this was a different time. Rest in peace, Christine.